first I want to say thank you for coming and accepting this invitation
Hmm.
to have a conversation with me this evening. And not just a conversation, but a hard conversation, a heartfelt conversation.
Mm.
Yeah, the conversation that you've had, that you've been having, that you've been working towards, and working to get out for yourself and
Hmm.
to support others, some other people, uh, somebody else who hasn't had the conversation yet, that's looking to have some harder conversations, right?
Hmm.
So, literally, I see it as we're all co-learners of life, so we're all here co-learning and co-creating together. So I don't have all the answers, you don't have all the answers, but we do have our experiences, right?
Mm.
So I just thank you for coming and sharing your experience, you know, and
Tasha.
yeah, so thank you for that. So Robin is a sister. Well, she's a lot of things, but she's here tonight as a sister who's healing her relationship with her sister. And
Yes.
so, with that said, let's explore the fact that you've been working to heal your relationship with your sister. So, just coming from a place of like, how did you get to that space of perhaps the breakdown, going to the build up?
Mm.
Let's talk about
Well, thank you for allowing me the opportunity. I mean, that's in the most sincerest form. There's so much gratitude with me right now to you because this space is so necessary. You know, it's an auspicious time to be doing it, but I am grateful. You know, I'm grateful. Relationships are important in our everyday function in society. So, you know, to mend them and be able to have hard conversations is necessary to our survival. So, thank you for even making it safe. You know, for me to be able to share this. Um, with that being said, it's so many things to talk about. You know, with this relationship with my sister. Um, we're very close. You know, just a little bit of history, and I know this is for your viewers too, correct?
it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so just a little bit of history. My sister and I, it's three of us, my sister, my brother, and myself. My sister and I have been close pretty much my whole life, our whole life. And so we really didn't know anything else. Like my friends are my family. So the breakdown that occurred between my sister and I impacted my life mm, so significantly, so major. Um, Specifically, what the breakdown was about is that what you're asking?
Yeah, where it stemmed from, or started, or wherever. Just talk about it. Just talk about it.
Okay, okay. So it stemmed from a lot of things, you know, quite honestly, but it hurt nonetheless. So the breakdown, I had this idea for a book many years ago, and it was my desire to write this book, and I carried this title. And I visited one time and I shared the title, you know, and began to say it and say it and say it. Well, secretly, there was a book that was in the works and being written, you know, by my sister, and it was that name of that book. And I say secretively because that's the part that created the breakdown.
Okay.
So it wasn't so much the fact that that was the title of the book; it was the secret part.
Mm.
So it caused so much division, so much distrust. Um, and actually, not just that. I personally believe that there is a shadow side in all of us, and there's also light. Duality exists, right?
Absolutely.
But the reality of the shadow side had overtaken everything else, and I was able to see a different experience, a different way, and it affected me. It felt like the greatest betrayal.
Mm.
It felt like just the most broken, you know, that I could ever. And again, it wasn't so much the taking, it was the secrecy part, because permission slip would have been signed had there been a conversation, but it wasn't had. So this breakdown, I have had the opportunity and even tried many times. I mean, our breakup, and I call it a breakup, but our breakup lasted about 6 years.
Mhm.
And during the duration of that 6 years, there were many times that I tried to revisit that, to have that hard conversation to the thing that caused our breakdown. Um, Unfortunately, what I realized is everybody's not ready to necessarily be in that space. So my work began. The focus had to really come off of that person, my sister, um, owning it, because the reality is sometimes you don't get a person to own it. For me, the years, and I had this conversation with you before, um, we had a space where I was validated because that was necessary. That was the first part of me acknowledging there was hurt, to find somebody who understood it was safe and I could just share my experiences and validated me. And that actually um, was the beginning of my healing. So, years, we're 5 years into this thing at this point, and now I'm in counseling because the weight is on my shoulder and it's heavy. So, I just realized that I didn't want to carry it anymore. I didn't know exactly what I was carrying, but from talking to my therapist, I, there's much resistance in me, much resistance. I'm super stubborn.
Naturally,
So
naturally,
yeah,
we all have resistance in that in us,
super
especially
stubborn.
when we've been betrayed, because that hurts.
Yeah,
That's the thing, right?
it
Absolutely.
hurts, and
Yeah.
it's a rigidness there. So it was a rigidness there, and it took even her some time to be able to break down. It took me some time to be able to say, "Oh, this is the thing that hurt me."
Hmm.
So what I came to realize, Toy, is I didn't want to be heavy anymore. The
Hmm.
relationships in my family, particularly with my sister, because as you stated, you are always going to be connected. You're always going to feel broken as long as this relationship is at a breach, because you all came from the same place and this is family. You will always need her. That actually stuck with me because it's true. I carried that brokenness and it just kind of spawned its webs all over the place and it looked like all types of crazy.
Hmm.
Um, and when I began to get the mirror from my girlfriends, hey Robin, this is what you're doing. Um, and I share with my therapist, well, my friends in a very sassy way, my friends are saying this, that, and the third, and she was able to shine a light on me and say, hey, you are, but where does this come from? So I was able to just discover it, realize that I had been severely broken. And one of the great realizations is, if you're doing some work, if you want to be healed, if you want to feel free and open and have a good flow in your life, then the work has to be for you. You can't necessarily concern yourself with what another person may be wanting to do. So that was big for me, because the betrayal part, right?
Yes.
So that was a hurdle for me to get over. Like, but what about, is this ever going to happen? And it just lifted. One day it just lifted.
Hmm.
And I realized that the desire to be connected properly back in this society as a whole individual
Hmm.
was more important to me
Hmm.
than any egotistical battle that I was having with myself ultimately. So I relinquished it. I relinquished the power and I surrendered and I had the hard conversation. And it was 6 years later, just last year in 2020, when we sat down in a very impromptu and random visit, because we had COVID, so I wasn't supposed to be traveling, but I was.
Hmm.
And um, we opened up. I did a lot more listening than I did talking because I had done my work. And again, my realization was I wanted to function well as a whole individual. So keeping that as my baseline goal,
Hmm.
and that I know that this is going to make me more whole in my relationships, just in society, work relationships, partner relationships, friendships. This was the base of the brokenness in all my relationships. So I surrendered. I listened, um, and we just literally moved past it. It was difficult. It was difficult to hear because, again, at all times, you don't necessarily get ownership. I can't say that I got ownership, you
Hmm.
know, but I
Wow.
can say that I was willing to be whole and healthy and show up in this world unbroken. And that was my goal. So I think for me, um, hard conversations are typically harder with yourself because the battle is always with yourself,
Wow.
and wanting to be whoever it is that you desire to be. It's you.
Hmm.
I had to relinquish that,
Hmm.
surrender, and it's still a work.
Beautifully said. Oh, beautifully said. I just want to
Yeah.
congratulate you and acknowledge you and honor you for that, because that was a lot. And I also want you to take a deep breath, because that was a lot.
It was. It was. It
Yeah,
was.
to
It
take
was. I felt
in and to
all
put
of it.
out, and that was so beautifully done and said, like so beautifully done and said, because that was not easy.
No,
Was not easy.
and it's still not.
It's
But as long as I stay focused on what the goal is, right?
mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
it.
that's it. Wow. And it's for your
Yeah.
own wholeness and your own,
I
yeah,
want to show up whole.
yeah. How
Stop
about
giving the world broken pieces, right?
mm,
Hmm.
yeah. Wow, that's beautiful. Because what I'm hearing you say is that within yourself, you showed up not just in that relationship, but it affected other relationships. Because you said,
Every relationship in my life,
hmm,
everyone. That was the catalyst for my brokenness
yeah.
because that was my person.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the catalyst for all of my brokenness in my relationships, every last one of them. And they couldn't have been made whole until I dealt with it.
Wow. And 6 years of basically, it sounds to me like running, like literally just running, right?
Sneakers laced up, 90 going north.
Yeah. How about it?
Witness protection program, hiding the whole thing.
Come
Yes.
on. Yeah. How
Yeah.
about it? Wow. I have this thing that I believe that when you disconnect from your family, you disconnect from yourself.
You said that.
Okay. So you
You
felt
said
like
that to me.
disconnected
Legit.
from yourself. Okay. Yeah,
All the
I've
way.
tried that. I've done that before too, and I was gonna show people. I'm gonna show him
Yeah.
who pissed me off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah,
Yeah.
go somewhere.
Ego.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who I heard so much humility and humbleness and just focus and growth, that just came out of everything you just said. That I just want to say that I'm sure you're proud of yourself, but I'm right here, I'm proud with you. And
Thank you.
and thank you for I'm thanking you for everybody because everything you just said, somebody else want to do this. I had that,
Yes.
I literally, ran and bumped against the wall, and that's where embracing forward, how it was birthed. Because
Hmm.
literally we this is what you're doing, you're embracing forward, and I'm just so
Yes.
grateful to hear and to know that we're not alone. We're
I
not
am so grateful for that because
alone. We
throughout that time, I
definitely.
definitely felt alone,
Hmm.
proud to be alone. It felt strong. There was no strength in that. There's no strength in it. So I feel reconnected. I'm integrating back into myself
Hmm.
slowly, but I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful because it wasn't always like this, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. And it took major courage. I hear so much like around this, like awareness and healing and just truthfulness and honesty, not with anybody else but yourself first.
Yeah,
And so
legit.
so therapy, what did you expect from therapy?
I'm a proud woman.
Hmm.
And I served most of my life from ego because ego has been my protector. I lost my mom at a very young age. So, and able to maneuver safely, my ego has been my protector. So I've served from her for many, many years. Okay. So I had no expectations
Mm.
because she had me, ego.
Hmm.
But I'm going to tell you, it was the realization that Robin, the mirror for my girlfriends. My therapist had me have my girlfriends write a letter of how they saw me and comments that I may say, some things that stand out. And it gave me what I had been running from, right? And it was seeing that it was a breakdown. It was a major breakdown. I was so apologetic, and I realized that I was so severely wounded, and I had carried the weapons of my wounder, and I was serving them back out. And that was the heaviness that I was feeling. So it was in that moment when I couldn't read the letters until I got to therapy.
Hmm.
And when I got to therapy, um, she read the letters, and it was an amazing wake up call for me. And I knew that if this is how I'm showing up to my friends, to the people who I love,
Hmm.
my coworkers, um, I don't want to do that anymore. So in essence, what must I do to be saved? You know? And that's when my work began, you know. That's when it began. And she asked me many questions. What if you never get on the ship? Because that was my thing.
Yeah.
What if?
Yeah.
Do you want it bad enough? Well, yeah. I
Hmm.
want to be okay. I'm not okay. I want to be okay. Yeah.
So a reflection of, I mean, this is something I have. I'm gonna show you this because I keep this here for everything you just said because
Yes. Ooh, a distorted mirror, honey.
yeah, and it's so interesting because I had that same exact experience, and I remember I was angry, and
Hmm.
can you believe it? And can you believe it? And especially with family members, because I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And I was venting to somebody, I was venting to a close friend of mine about another family member. And all these things she did, and she this and she that. And it's literally what I got from that. And I wrote this in the book because it's the truth. Because you know how you hear something, you
Hmm.
hear, but you don't really grasp it. I really got
Hmm.
this is what I got for the first time. This like it's pointing back at you, like it
Yes, for
pointing
real.
out, the other one going your way.
Mm.
And it's for real because
It's so for real.
she like, when is it my turn to talk? Um, wait, what?
Hello. She said, Mira, girl, look,
Yeah,
look,
because
look
she
at
stunk
you.
up the room too. I'm telling her about how she stunk up the room and
And she said, what about you?
oh, the person I'm telling,
Yeah.
like, I just want you to just listen. First of all,
No, she wasn't here for
what
that.
kind of best friend are you? It wasn't even therapy. That was just my a reflection. Just like your friends told you. I'm in therapy.
Girl.
And I would like some support. And and they
Oh,
like,
they
well,
was like, oh, oh,
oh,
okay.
well, here you go.
And this time, yes. I was
He
like,
was like,
ouch.
that is not me.
Ooh.
Not how I see myself. But it's something I did that mirror like that, and I keep it because what I always say, like you can't see the picture when you're the frame. You know, you're going in the same direction, you
So
face the
true.
same direction, and to have an outside view, just a different viewpoint will change your life.
It will. To be
Mhm.
open to that is even
When
powerful. To be open to it.
yeah, because ain't nothing wrong, ain't nothing wrong. I look beautiful.
What are you
Just
talking about?
look at yourself.
You
You
see
look
me, see
beautiful.
these lips? These lips are popping. What do you mean?
Look beautiful. Looking like this.
Crazy. All types of crazy.
Mm.
All types of mean, all that.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's easy, but to do this is what I one of my mentors say all the time: do for life to get easier, do what's hard.
Mm.
You know? Because
Ooh.
come on, do what's hard for your life to get easier. Because when you don't do the hard stuff, you living hard, and that would sound like 6 hard years, right?
It was definitely 6 hard years.
6 hard.
Definitely. It showed up in my body,
Mm-hmm,
the weight that I carried, my
mm-hmm,
skin.
mm-hmm,
Literally, it displayed itself.
mm-hmm,
It wanted to come out so bad. It just showed up everywhere.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's interesting how we can see everybody else's problems, like, yeah, girl, and even
Right?
generally, even seeing that's a whole nother uh meeting. That's a conversation. We're gonna be doing that on the 14th of February, but that's a whole sister thing. That's sisterhood and
Oh,
sistership.
I
But
love it.
yeah,
Mm,
right. But it is
I
like
love it.
really literally just a bounce off reflection. And I love that you said that was
Wow.
literally your defense mechanism because that is, a lot of us how we live through that.
That's how we maneuver.
Yeah,
Yes.
we
We
maneuver
put that
that.
ego on and we be like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What? What? Whole time. Crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened to me at the car wash today, and a young lady pulled up right in front of me, and I was just trying to get out, and I just blew a little bit, and she was like, "I ain't going nowhere. Like you got." I was like, "Oh, okay, it's okay," because that'll be the 14th, and so
Hmm. Okay.
I don't know what's
Girl,
happening
log
right
in.
now.
Log
But
in.
yeah, I don't. I'm not doing it with you, sis. Because you, my sister, is a no for me. No,
Log in.
but yeah, log in. I'll give a little card. Log 14th, girl. Because
Y'all.
they can't make that about me. You know what?
Yes.
I call it space. Well, first of all, we creating a space for grace. You know, but
Yeah.
healing people, because I've always heard that hurt people, but I never really heard it
Ooh.
being yeah going in that direction.
Healing people, healing people.
Healing
Wow.
people want to, yeah, because you literally give what you
Yeah.
get. So that's how we're doing. You know, it's not
I
a
love
right or wrong way. I
it.
do want to bring the point around that a lot of times we can use a mediator. Like a lot of times, mediators are important. A therapist, a coach,
Absolutely.
a counselor. Uh, uh, in some cases,
Yeah.
lead people in the family.
Yep.
Whatever. Like just healing people, healing people.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah.
The hard conversations are so hard. They're so hard, but they're so necessary to get to the healing if
Hmm.
that's your goal. But you got to be in a space where you want to be free, and you have to have a specific goal for your life. Without that, you're going to continue. And I know this because 6 years,
Come on.
and I was heavy,
Yeah.
unbeknownst to me. Yeah,
And what you really thought, if I'm not mistaken, within that time frame, is that you really just wanted, as much as you wanted the relationship, you wanted to change that person, right? Like you wanted your sister to just,
more than anything,
you wanted her to just,
to just.
yeah, to just
That was
like
my first 5 years. It was about her,
exactly.
but she and you. But what
Mm-hmm.
about, oh, you not gonna own it? That
Uh,
whole vibe,
mm-hmm.
no, it didn't serve me for 5 years.
How about it?
Yeah,
That's the beautiful reality of what it is to embrace forward. Because that's
embrace
when you
forward.
say I'm still doing this, I'm still doing the work because
How did I get
embracing
here?
it. Yeah, there
Oh,
because
because you may get that. How about you? What about you though?
mm-hmm.
What about
Exactly.
you? What do you want?
I had a friend that went to marriage counseling. Every time she would say, "I just want them to fix them," if they can
Mhm.
just fix them, you know.
That'd be great.
I know that sounds good, right?
Ooh, girl,
Fix them.
so broke.
Pay you, or we're gonna pay for it. Just fix them so we can get on with our happily ever after, right? Just fix them.
That's hilarious.
They'd
No.
be like, "Oh, how did that go? How's that go? How's that working out for you?"
Oh, how did that work? It didn't? Oh, okay.
Yeah, man, I'm telling
Whew.
you, you the hard stuff, Tiff, Robin.
It's all good. It's
It's
duality exists.
okay.
She's here.
I know, right? Seriously, beautiful, beautiful though. Seriously, like this is so. I I I know like the passion and empowerment um that you've gained, through this, but to be able to just have this conversation with you because we obviously we haven't had this
I
conversation.
never did it. Yeah.
So it's beautiful to experience you in this light and to even just be a part of the journey, one another's
I'm
journey
so grateful.
together. Some of
Ooh,
my
Ashe. So
mm, like
grateful.
seriously, like right here with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to see you blossom and us just, you know, growing and just doing this in different spaces together.
Hmm.
Like we're still
Yeah.
doing it together. Like seriously.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And I'm proud for you, proud of you, grateful for you, love you to
Thank
pieces. I
you.
just think this just is amazing because
Yeah.
everything you just said is just everything. It's like you just gave life.
Hmm.
That's because
Wow.
you
I'm
got
grateful.
life for
Yeah.
yourself and you're giving
It
life.
was given. It was given to me.
Okay.
Just like I whatever you have is all that you can give. And
Mm,
I didn't have life before,
mm,
so I'm grateful that I have that to give. And I wish for everybody to really do their own work, as hard as it is, to set a goal ultimately for how they envision their lives. And I'm not talking about the stuff and the things,
mm-hmm,
the doing. I'm talking about the being
mm-hmm,
and how you be, how you show up, how you affect people on a daily basis is so important. It's so important. We don't know what the next person is going through. We don't. And it could be that one offense, like it was for me, that one offense.
Hmm.
And I spread that everywhere that I went, not even intentionally, but I was poisoned. And that's all I had to do was give it out. So I just wish for everyone to have a lighter load, you know, and a space where they can just be legitimately and authentically free, free. Because I was not completely bound and running and isolated and separated and not trusting.
Hmm.
And I'm so grateful that that's not what this is anymore, you know? And thank you for allowing me to even share that because that's nothing short of a miracle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my. No, on that note, we're gonna close out.
Oh,
I know, right? I just thinking like, wow, you said everything. And the conversation
oh,
can go on and on forever. I'm so serious. Like this is like so amazing. It's even like more than I even expected. I don't even know why, because where else would it come from? I mean, but it's just like to hear you speak about your healing and your process and your truth and just not making it about anybody else. I literally live that, speak that, talk that, and it's just to hear
yes.
it outside of me. I mean, I have these conversations probably every day, but but
Yeah.
literally as a reflection because we haven't had it like personally, and I
No.
haven't heard it from you. It is very special. Like this is
Mm.
it's it's like it put like double icing or something on the cake.
Oh,
You know, it's like double icing on the cake.
do you even eat icing?
I
That's
don't,
okay.
but I don't even eat
I
icing
think
on
so.
the cake, but it's still double icing on the cake. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
No, thank you. Seriously, I want to thank you for coming and sharing with us this evening. I just had
Mhm.
amazing. I want to say experience. It was a conversation, but we just had an experience, Robin and I. And things didn't go quite as well as we expected technically, but
Okay.
we're here. We're here, and it's beyond technology. You know, it's about uh, the purpose of us doing this, and it's about um, the opportunity and time and us just going forward beyond circumstances. You know,
Mhm.
so this is Shauna. I want to
Mhm.
welcome you officially.
Mhm.
Shauna is a lot of things. I'll get better with introductions, but you're here this evening to represent yourself as the woman and wife that you are, and to talk a little bit about your relationship with your mother-in-law as a daughter-in-law. And I say this because not only do I see you as a person that's in my life, and we are um, a very close person to me in my life, but I see you for the woman you are, but to see experience you the way I experience you, I admire you beyond just our relationship, you know? So if
Mhm.
you were not even like in relationship with me the way we are, if I was just to see you, I just truly admire you as the person that you are.
Aw.
And I always say that because I mean it. And so I don't just talk about like, oh, because you know, you're just everything to me, but
Right.
you just everything, right? And so especially I admire you most in this particular relationship because I see how you've brought order and love and your whole self, you know, peace
Mhm.
in a space where there was not even peace.
Mhm.
And so
Right.
I want to talk about that because it's because I've never had, I mean, we have had different experiences, but I've never particularly personally had um a relationship. I had very great relationships with both mother-in-laws. I had two mother-in-laws. And
Mhm.
for the most part, I haven't had this experience. But
Mhm.
I feel like to top it off, on top of your experience of being a daughter-in-law, to see how your husband and his mother relationship is very interesting because a lot of times when people don't necessarily get along, I want to say, or have difficult relationships with their mother-in-law,
Right.
normally the son, a lot of times my experience, I would see like the sons, the husbands or whatever are closer to
Mhm.
their mother. It's always like a battle in one way. I feel like this is a battle in another way. So um, I just want to talk about how do you build a healthy relationship with your mother-in-law, even when your husband's relationship with his mother is fragile or delicate.
Mm, how do I feel about it?
How do you
Or
how do you build a healthy relationship?
how do I build? Oh,
How you doing?
okay. And
Hmm.
at first, I was trying, not trying, but everything that he told me, my husband, in the beginning of it
Hmm.
was true. But I didn't see it that way, the way he explained his mother.
Okay.
So I didn't see it that way. I just thought, when you upset with somebody, you have past hurt that you don't let go of. You sometimes paint a different picture because those are your feelings. I didn't ignore his feelings about that. I just said, I want to find out for myself. Is it true or not? And I'm going to go off that. So I didn't let what he told me dictate to the way I treated her.
Okay. Okay.
But later to find out throughout this whole process, because it was definitely a process,
Hmm.
um, of of us coming together, being a family, and interacting, I realized that she didn't have any boundaries.
Okay.
Well, I'm gonna start off and say
Hmm.
my husband's bipolar.
Okay.
His mother is a nurse, a psychiatric nurse.
Interesting.
So in the beginning of the relationship, she will always try to let me know that I don't know what it is. I don't know how to deal with this. I didn't know how to respond. And so I felt so vulnerable because I didn't know. I never experienced this before. But I know that I love them and I know that I'm learning. I knew that I was learning, but she made me feel so, I guess, weak, and not just that she knew everything about him, but they didn't have the best relationship. So it was kind of confusing.
Hmm.
So I would look at it like, I guess you do know what she's talking about. And some things I understood what she meant, but it just didn't, it wasn't, it wasn't always right. So
Hmm.
in the beginning, I was very like not confident. I wasn't confident in myself to know what I'm dealing with. So it was very insecure. It was like, okay, but she know it always shut me up. So time progressed, and and I was in and out in in dealing with my husband every day. She wasn't,
Hmm.
into things that I noticed and say, no, that you're not right about this. So that's where the conflict, I guess you could say, came.
Okay. Okay. This is a very unique situation, and this is why I'm excited to have this conversation with you. I'm curious to know. Let's talk a little bit about how you became more confident with it. And this.
Time, um, time and knowing my husband more.
Hmm.
This is before we even got married, but I knew I knew early on that we was gonna be married. So time and me being more confident in watching him and knowing him, and just just realizing, really seeing her in a different light, because I saw the control that she wanted to have. And I
Hmm.
was like, oh, okay, it's not about me. When I realized it wasn't about me, or really wasn't about him, it was like, this is about you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah. It was about what she needed to feel, and what she needed to feel out of everything, because everything related back to her.
Interesting. That's
So
interesting.
I was like,
Mhm.
oh, it all ended up going back to her, like, because I feel, because it before, and she'll say these things like, before you and
Mm.
before me, I would go back and tell her, you guys weren't even talking for months. And she say, yeah, but no, it's not a but. Like, that's big that you guys wasn't talking. You know what I'm saying? She'll try to over talk that. So we have come a long. I have come a long way. We have come a long way with this, Faye.
Mhm. So it sounds like you got some understanding, some clarity, some more insight on what it was, like what's going on with them, so that you can kind of find your position in that space as well.
Mhm.
And it so talk a little bit about the growth process, like what's the difference between what the things that you would do then and the things that are where we are now.
Now, okay, well, before I would, when she called and say, do you think something's wrong with Chuck?
Mhm.
And me not feeling that nothing's wrong with Chuck,
Mhm.
it'll make me say, is something wrong with him? Or just look at him
Mhm.
different or try to figure out what was going on. It wasn't nothing going on, maybe at that moment, but just her just always being over worried and having those conversations and calling me. That's not anymore. I don't have that. I learned how to respect her, but not have to deal with her like on a regular basis, because it was very overwhelming, because she would call me and say about their relationship that I had nothing to do with, that they need their own counseling for, that's not that hasn't, she used to try to make me feel that sometimes I felt that the relationship, I caused the strain in a relationship. She never came out and said that directly. Well, maybe a couple times she'll say before you. I mean, that is direct. Because before me that's me. So yeah, she'll say things like that. And it really was a burden on me till I realized that, okay, I finally told her, like, y'all been had problems, and it was just I felt like I had to build the respect level, because I came in respecting her, even though I heard all these bad things.
Right.
I came in the door respecting her. She didn't come in the door respecting me.
Mhm.
So, because I don't really think she has a lot too much of respect for people in general, because I just don't, I don't think that she does. I think that she just sees the way she sees it, and that she believes that is true.
Well, I
So
heard you say that the boundaries weren't set, like there were no the
right, it wasn't
boundaries
no,
weren't set. So
it wasn't no batteries. So when I realized what was going on, when I really realized, I remember one time actually being so angry that I was crying. This was maybe right before we got married, and I was like, "Oh, I'm done. Like, I'm just this is ridiculous. Like, why are we having this conversation?" It was just a whole lot, and I realized that me expressing myself and really being stern about what I feel about stuff, instead of being nice, because I was trying to be more respectful because of his mother. But I really always felt early on like, I see what you're doing.
Mhm.
So me really telling her, like, no, this is that, and she didn't like that, but she had to give me my respect, because it was like we had to be on the same page. But my husband was always on that page. I wasn't on the page with him when it came to her, because he already told me how she was, but I didn't see it that way, because I was just being open and nice and like, no, it's your mother.
Yeah.
But now we could be around each other
Okay.
and still not have like a relationship, but we have a respect for one another. And I'm fine. I'm good with that. Like, it's not like a call, like, hey, like that kind of thing. We talk. It's not like, what do you think about Chuck? It's not that kind of like, she doesn't do that no more. We can have a cordial conversation, and it's not like a headache, like, getting off the phone making me feel like I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
So sounds like you set them boundaries, and
Yes.
I mean for because respect goes a long way. So how important is respect for you? Because I heard you say, because for some people, here's the thing: for some people, respect may not be as important as a friendship, or
Respect is very important to me, especially when I feel like you don't. It's important anyway, but when you really don't know what you're talking about, and you're just like saying something to come up with something because it's in your head, and you making it about you, it wasn't about me or him, and that's you can't even see what's really going on, because you get yourself in a way. So respect is very important.
Yeah, yeah. This is so interesting because we, this is piggybacking off what again, Robin and I just talked about how in relationship, how literally you just walk around basically just drawing off your brokenness to other people.
Right, right.
It sounds like you set a boundary. It was like that brokenness that's there is not going to
Hmm.
destroy my relationship with my husband and my household and my
Hmm.
in this space with where I am with yourself. So that is a beautiful, beautiful understanding for
It
you.
was so much frustration. It really was hard for me to get to the where I'm at right now in the relationship with her, because when somebody else doesn't see it, it's like you can't make them see themselves.
Come on.
So if you can't see yourself, how are you gonna realize what you're doing wrong? You can't. So I had to realize that she's not gonna see herself. I'm not gonna say never, because I believe it's always possibilities. But I have to react differently, because you're gonna frustrate me every time we talk. And I'm gonna leave like upset. And if I can't cover my face, or my husband always knows when something's wrong with me. And I don't want him to know that his mother made me mad, because he don't be bothered with it anyway. So I was trying to keep a peaceful bond, like this some type of relationship with her.
Right. Wow. Because you just said you can't change her, so you change the way that you do things. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's
the way that I respond, and very assertive and very direct. Like if she starts the conversation saying like, I did, like I don't want to have this conversation. I remember this being a couple months ago. Something was wrong with her car, and I volunteered to take her to work. Now we don't talk regularly, but I just volunteered to take her because I felt bad for her. Like I just wanted to help her out. She got in the car one day and said, Chuck, I said, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have this conversation. Like I just stopped it before she even went into it, because it's a whole long thing, and that could have been a whole long car ride. And so she has to respect that, because I'm not doing it. But before, I never did that. I used to just let her talk and just be aggravated and be like, feel like in a box. And I have the freedom now to say, no, we're not going to do this.
Come on with the freedom.
So it's a freedom with that. It's a freedom with saying that.
Wow.
And not feeling bad, because I always was worried about her feelings, because she's very emotional, and she'll start crying in a heartbeat. She didn't cry on the phone. She didn't cry. And I'd be like, lady, it's not me.
But seriously, it's so many conversations that I left unsaid that just left, on the table, but they're still within us, because that's a hard conversation to have, because it's like, because people are overly concerned with other people's feelings, or not necessarily overly concerned, or less concerned about with their own. So it's like, whose feelings are more important, mine or yours? And
right.
You choose me. It sounds like you're choosing you.
Yeah, I did, because I would be so aggravated, and he would be like, I know she made you mad. What'd she say? And I'd be like, I'm always trying to keep the peace. Right. So I'm like, I ain't nothing, but it's just always, she gets me, I feel. She sees me and she gets that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear that.
That's what boundaries do.
Yeah.
Like people don't, when you really understand the importance of those boundaries, you make it about your own peace, more so than somebody else's feelings.
Right.
Yeah. So if nothing else, can we take this away? Can
exactly.
we take this away, people?
Right.
Because that right there is key, because like you said, what sounds to me like what's most important to you is the peace in your household.
Right.
In yourself. In your marriage. Okay. Yeah.
Because she's not in his house, and she's not going to cause friction. It always will cause friction between me and my husband. And it's just always just disruptive. and it emotional, just bring out emotional and bring out things that he deals with, that he felt with her,
Right.
and that's not healed.
Oh, how
And
about
she just put more pressure on it. It just wasn't good. So,
right.
you know,
Yeah. How about that? Wow.
yeah.
That's a lot. And just that right there is like so key, but it's this right here is a huge issue. Not saying that no other situation is,
Mhm.
but I have just found myself in lots of conversations, like a great deal of conversations where people have different issues with the in-laws, and with especially with that mother-in-law and sonship, because you are coming in as another woman, and they
And
already
that's
doing
like,
things the way they've been doing it, and a lot of times we function in our dysfunction. We've been able to function fine in our dysfunction.
right.
Yeah.
And it was more delicate because of my husband's illness.
Right.
So it wasn't just like, she's a nurse too. Imagine this.
Okay.
Imagine you not knowing anything about this illness, and then the mother-in-law is a psychiatric nurse.
Yeah.
So she got like all in my mind, like, oh my gosh, she just knows about everything. I just need to be quiet.
Right. She has all
And
that.
that's how I felt. I felt so vulnerable and so like not confident. And like I was just like, okay. Like, and that's how she came in strong. Like to me. Like,
I got
look,
this. Yeah.
I know him. This is what's been going on. And I'm like in my head, because I think about stuff before I say it most of the time. And I'm thinking, like, if you know this and all this, why our relationship is like this?
Right.
It didn't make sense to
all this education.
you have all this education and you
right.
why can't y'all, it didn't add up. It didn't make sense, but it always shut me down. I'm telling you, because she will always put that in like, you don't know. It was just like that thing. And I'm like confused, because you'll tell me that you like him in relationships and you never had, issue with me, but you'll tell me like, you don't know him. And I'd be like, oh, what you trying to tell me about your son?
Right. No, seriously, right? But
Okay.
it's because we talk about how we draw off of our defense mechanism, and it sounds to me like that is more than likely one that has been used. That that she's been.
Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds like to draw off of.
Yeah.
Perhaps people in the past, other relationships, or just in order to have some type of control in that space.
And like the closer that me and my husband got, this is before we got married, the stronger a lot of ways, because this relationship is deep. It had a lot to do with his son, and it's just a whole long story. But to summarize it, she realized how much strength he gained, like with us being together, like knowing that he had a support system in me, because really she was his support system, but really wasn't his support system. So it was more of it was a mess. So she really saw that and she didn't like it. And when I said that, she said, no, that's what I want. But no, that's not what you really want. Because when it's happening, it's like you can't handle it. And it shook her. I feel like it shook her, because her whole life was trying to see if he was okay, but he wasn't looking for her. He was doing his own thing, but she just wanted to be that person, because she knew that she was that person for forever. Even if they was dysfunctional and wasn't getting along, he didn't have nobody that was solid as our relationship is. With, you know what I'm saying? That was that. So that just made it. She just wasn't prepared for that. And it wasn't about me or him. It was about her.
And see, that's another point that we bring it out this evening, about how people, and in light of, the situation of, your mother-in-law, because we making it about, your growth, of course, but and truth of what people do in life is that we literally bring our brokenness, to relationships
Mhm.
and the way we carry our relationship. And this is why I had this mirror. I brought this mirror out in another way because this is the way it's viewed. This is how their relationship been viewed. It had all that distortment in it, and but that's the way it's been functioning
Mhm.
years beyond you.
Right.
And so, like, I want to say I'm proud. I'm proud of you. I'm proud for you. I'm proud with you for you to be able to get through this space, to see that and not make it about you, and not
Mhm.
let it lead your life, and lead your household, lead your marriage, and lead your feelings, and lead. You able to grow through it, and to be able to see it clear, see something that distorted, and be able to see
Mhm.
a clear vision beyond it for yourself, for your
Right.
household. Yeah.
And I learned how to love her
Mm-hmm.
and have compassion from her
Mm-hmm.
from afar, and this
Mm-hmm.
not have to be inside. See, I'm really, you know this already. You know me. I'm very compassionate
Mm-hmm.
person. So my compassion sometimes is be like all in, like oh, like that, because this is her only child.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
uh, yeah, I learned how to do that from afar and still show my love, but not deal with her on a regular basis.
And that's why we call it healthy relationships. Like, seriously, because healthy sometimes doesn't mean chopping it up every week, best
Right,
friend, because
right,
you already had a best friend, right? I mean, this is
right,
what I tell
right,
even with my children. I joke, but I always say, I had a best friend before I met you, because they be
right.
friends sometimes. But in all seriousness, it's like you didn't need a mother. It sounds
Right.
like you hold there.
Uh-huh.
We want to talk about that a little bit, like your relationship with your mother, because it's all within our own brokenness. Because what if you did need a mother, and that's why that's not necessarily why people marry their husband, but sometimes you gain mothers when you think
Right,
you
right.
don't have it. But is that what you needed?
No, I didn't need that. And I think I let her know that one time in a argument that we had on the phone, because I'm like, I have a mother. I don't need that from you.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um, my mother is so opposite of her, and I see like she could be such a cool person
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
without. I can't take the issues away though. You can't do that. They people have to heal them. They have to fix it for themselves.
Yeah, but you just saw. But what I just heard you say is that you still see the beauty in her,
I do.
and
I
that
do.
you still, and you in the love, and that's
Hmm.
that's actually through your own healing, and that's through your own work, because your self work. Because to be able to see compassion or have compassion for others, it is you have to have it within yourself.
That's true.
Yeah,
That's true. That's good.
yeah. So it makes sense that yeah, you can't. I always say we can't get around us to get to somebody else. You know.
Hmm. Right. That's good. That's true.
So
So,
again, this is another part of embracing forward. How long? Okay, so a little bit of background. So how long have you? Questions that I'm asking the questions because we are not live this
mhm,
evening. So how long have you and your husband been married now?
it's 2 years, 3 years this year.
Hmm. That's a really short time. It sounds like a long way for a short time. Seriously.
Now we have come, and it's funny part. It seems like forever, but the things that we have accomplished in with her and every relationship that's been in our life has seemed like it's a process, but we on one accord with it, and that's the best feeling
Mm,
to have, because it takes work to get there,
mm,
and arguments and
mm.
misunderstandings and all that, and then to come to a medium, like, look, this is what it is. It's the best feeling to feel that support and have that be on one accord.
Back to this work conversation. See, it's all about the work, huh? So you mean to tell me whether it's work, it's always about work, 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 huh? Working on.
Uh-huh.
I know, right?
Uh-huh.
No way around that, though. Seriously, right?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with somebody every day.
Mhm.
You gotta deal with it. This I ain't never seen nothing like this before. Let me tell you something. Mary, you gotta, that's a whole nother topic. This ain't what I'm there for though. So I'm see yourself. Every you
I
look
believe that'll be next month. We have another. But no, seriously, and how and
can't get away from yourself, okay?
Come on, say that again.
Can't get away from yourself. Not with somebody looking at you every day. It's like, this me? Yeah, that's you. This is how you are.
Come on, because that's literally no, and that's a real reflection. Because I just said, how I always say when you can't see the picture when you're the frame because you're the same direction thing. But literally, when you are in relationship, in that type of relationship, in a marriage relationship or love relationship with somebody else, and you see them every day like that, you literally can't. I say you can't hide from yourself. I'm old school. That's the house song. So, but it's like you really can't hide from yourself because what's in you comes out, and they literally reflect.
Right.
A reflection of you. So you're just like, oh, I see me, the way you respond, the way you react, the way, the things that you do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see yourself. You're like, oh.
But well, back to my mother-in-law, we have come a long way. And I'm grateful for the understanding that I have now because I didn't have it. And the confidence that have come with us growing pains that I feel that I have, and it's clear and it's like direct and it's assertive, and I'm confident in it, and it's not any confusion anymore because that was confusion. And I'm grateful that God let me see it and me learn through it. So
am I. It's beautiful because God is not the author of confusion.
Right.
So that means that He is not in that space. And exactly. I love your clarity and your confidence, your growth, and
can nobody do it for me, even though my husband wants to. That's the thing.
He would have if he could have. I'm sorry.
He would have, but I have to do it myself. So that's another thing that he could have told me, he could have warned me, he could have covered me and said no.
He tried. Sounds like he tried.
He tried. I had to see this for myself, and I'm grateful because now I have a full understanding, and I handled it the way that I wouldn't change nothing if I had to do it again, because I'm just not gonna take nobody word. I'm gonna give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right, and that's one of the reasons why I admire you, seriously, because it's you stay true to you.
Right.
And that's I feel like at the core of it all, like that's what I've seen. And one of the things I definitely admire you is that no matter what, Shauna is true to Shauna, and she like, it's a no. Like I'm not gonna just listen to what he's saying or whatever, because she, I personally, not to get in the story, but you all would you say, okay, let's touch this right quick. Like let's have this about you all. Likenesses, like what do you see? Because it sounds like two strong women.
I see a lot.
Okay, a lot of ways of likenesses. You all. Come on.
Stubborn. A trip. A lot of ways. I see a lot. Sass. A lot of ways. I see.
Interesting. Interesting. And so I would assert that she see a lot of ways in you of herself. I don't know.
Yeah. She said that.
Okay.
And then if we see something, we talking about something like out of laughs and stuff, like just laughing. She be like, "Huh," cause split, and I'll be like, "Right." Like we agree on the same nonsense. If it's, what I'm saying, if it's a show or like, why would she do that? Like we, we agree. And some people be the total opposite. I have talked to them like now, but we agree on the same thing. So yeah, I see that.
I find family pathology is just so interesting because it's just so interesting to me because he, as we say, as we know, he has a delicate relationship with his mother, and they have a lot of broken pieces, some things that can be definitely ironed out and some work to be done there, right? And he finds a woman that
I know, right?
Similar, like how about that? How
weird.
So how do these things happen? It's we don't even, if we had more time we would get to your dad. But
Sounds bad.
And your husband.
Lord, no. I don't know how that works.
That is a segment within itself, but that is interesting, you know?
Yeah.
And funny, seriously, even how all your life you run, as women, I know we do. I don't, we run from like the things that like, oh, my daddy never is a no, right?
Right.
Nothing about them. And they come packaged differently,
Yeah.
in different, total different packages. And then at the core is that same thing. You're like, wait, what?
Right. And it's so funny because he always say like, because my mama was independent. I don't like no women that ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like I saw my, like all the things that he saw, regardless of what he doesn't like, he still likes from his mother.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is literally draws you right to the person, right?
Right.
Well, unfortunately,
I've been on for 35 minutes.
Huh?
I've been on for 35 minutes.
I know. I almost hate to say that because people in denial, but I'm thinking like if you, most of the time, if you just look a little deeper, change your lens, your viewpoint, your lenses, and you see inside your spouse, you will definitely see that parent. You will definitely. I honestly haven't met with a person yet that the truth don't lie there with it.
Right.
But, yeah, we're gonna close out. This has been great.
Well, it was great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for accepting, and thank you for sharing. And we hope that this has supported another wife, another mother-in-law. Whichever viewpoint you got it from. Just anything that we can do. Like I always say, we are co-learners here, in life, and just doing this together. So thank you again for coming. See you next time.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, what's going on?
We have Tamara on the line. In the room. This is a room. Woo,
Okay.
I know, right? Welcome, Tamara. And I thank you for accepting this invitation.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for the invite.
Oh, thank you. Tamara, you are talking today about, interestingly enough, for each the other two conversations that came around to this, but you are here to I guess continue this conversation, and really you're the base of the entire meeting, because your relationship with yourself, woo, it's like to get around that, if I'm it don't sound like it's even possible, but I just I honor your passion and your
Thank you.
and just your becoming, right? And so seeing how you've overcome some of your own hardships in life, and I feel like your connections are greater, and you greater. Everything about you is just like our conversations have connected in a way. Like I'm like, it literally came from like big sister to little sister. Now I'm a little sister.
Right.
But so over years, like I didn't even know that you were in therapy. So let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. We do not just. So how did you come to the point of therapy? Did you come to the point of just transformation? Or let's talk about it.
Therapy. Growing up, I was always against therapy, I guess, because it's like, you hear the saying like in your family, keep things in the family, keep your business, so you try to deal with things the best way you can. But speaking for me, like over time, it's like you carrying like this extra baggage that you don't even know you carrying until it just breaks you down, and certain, some breakthroughs come in like different forms, tragedies or whatever a person go through. I want to say it was the last person I was dating, but I also don't want to say that because it was like I had one foot in and one foot out. I think it was like for me putting my trust in somebody again, or trying to put that trust, and it was like, you come and you do the same thing, you know. So it was just like at that point, I was just like, okay, I'm done. You know, I'm like, okay, God, you in control. I'm done trying to leave. Where do where do I go from here? Working for the post office, they offer therapy. And this came about, you know, real quick in like the 90s, I guess. There's a whole nother story with the post office, but someone came in and, you know, murdered some of the people up in there. So after that, they offer therapy because, you know, being out there is like real crazy. It gets to your mind. So even with them offering and paying for therapy, I was like, do I really want to tell somebody what's been going on in me all these years? And it was like I still one foot in, one foot out, but it was like I was being pushed. And then I was just like, you know what, let me give it a try. So the first lady that I kind of like reached out to, it's also called Talkspace. I just wanted to say that even though it was through the post office, but I think they made it public now. So you could talk online through message, however you want to do it. So it's called Talkspace. So the first lady, you know, I was like, I'm nervous, but she never really responds. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it one more try. If don't nobody come through, that's it. And it was just like, for me, it was like God sent this angel. And then, you know, I just went from there.
So talk about therapy. Like, what did you gain? Like in starting, you talk about like how it was difficult. Did it ever get easier? Did it ever get where was the breakthroughs happen? Let's talk about that. Like, what's the process?
For me, I'm always nervous. Like always, like camera shy, stuff like that. But when I'm around my family, I could talk my butt off. So
thanks for letting me know, because I wouldn't even know. Because
yes. So I guess it was just this uneasy, unfamiliar like feeling like, you know, is this person, you know, really gonna judge? I guess I was like in my head like kind of skeptical, like, is this really gonna work, or is this lady gonna be talking about me to, you know, it was just so many things just running through my head.
God,
but yes, but she came off, you know, she came off smooth. I don't know, it was just from the start. So for me, really going through most of my life not really trusting people, so it was like I had to ease on. But she was very open, she was patient, like it was no rush. I think the only rough part for me was just like, you know, getting it out. Again, like I could talk my butt off in front of my family, but like somebody new is like, okay, I'll give you this piece. I give you this piece to see if I could trust you, you know, give you this piece. And then I feel like she just became my best friend after that. Yeah. So overall, honestly, it was just like how I talked to you with this Zoom, like, you know, it's gonna be a lot of people. You know, it was like just warming up. And it was like she attacked it from like the inside out. Like she was just bringing everything out, but she was starting from the core, like the root. Like my man was going back to places that I had totally forgot, like just blocked out. And like when she would bring it out, I'm like, God really sent the angel to help me. You know, that's how I looked at it. So
wow, that was a lot. The inside out and getting to the core.
Yeah.
Because so it was things that you hadn't even, it sounded like hadn't even realized, like tapped into, like you didn't even know that came up.
I mean, stuff, because honestly, Tanaya, it's like, it be moments where, like, I was born in the 80s. Like, I can't remember anything in the 80s, even though it's a long time. But, you know, some people remember certain parts. And it was just like, I guess so much baggage had, you know, fell on top of me that those nice memories that I had was like, the light was just gone because it was just so much baggage on there. So for it to be like coming out, like just coming out, I was just like, you know, I sit there and be like, now I remember that. So I just feel like it was blocked out and maybe buried for a reason. So it can, like, when it come out, it can all come out together versus like a piece here, a piece here. Cause like I say, it started from the inside, like from the root. It didn't come from like off top. It started from the bottom.
Mm.
Yeah.
I had somebody ask me before, so and you would think, seriously, you would think that this is a coaching Zoom or something, like we are literally, because I mean, not coaching but therapy, but
Right.
seriously, but that's how real this is, because it really, and whether it's couples
Mhm.
there, or to have that a mediator there in that
Mhm.
sense, it is so much more empowering. It is so
Yeah.
much more it's powerful, because you are literally, you can't see you, to literally be able to see from a different viewpoint, and others to just support you to bring that out. And that is
Right.
like I feel like that's the most empowering position to be in,
Right.
for
And
yourself.
it's a great feeling because I found out so much about myself, and it's that inner, the moon, that's the sign, like the moon sign, we keep that closed in, like we try not to show that. And even through that, I saw the nastiness of me, the angry side, always hollering, just upset for no reason. So it was like, not only was I cleansing out like the past, I was like detoxing as myself too. Like, I don't know, I just stepped on the other side and just was like, would you want somebody talking to you like that? Like, how would you feel? So I had to like step on the other side and see that. Cause I don't want my feelings to be hurt. So I don't want to hurt nobody else's feelings. So it was just a growing process, and I'm still trying to grow from that. Right.
Hey, okay, this is beautiful, because what you just said is that you said, well, I want somebody to treat me that way. And so it sounded like self-compassion came,
Yeah.
and you were able to have compassion with others, right?
Right. Exactly.
And so this is so everything, because it's just so real. Like it's this is written and embracing for it, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But before the words were written, is this belief system that you take on, this experience that you have, it's bigger than just a book. Because I'm telling you, like, before I believe we are all authors, first of all, but I believe before the words are in writing, the truth is out about it, and then you decide
Right.
that you're already living it, being it, speaking it,
Right.
put it in writing, which is documented accountability,
Right. Right.
but so I'm not it wasn't for me. The book experience of being an author was not about, of course, just not about book sales, or
Right.
is literally about the message. And so the message we just expanding the conversation.
Right.
I like to say that. But I had one of my brothers ask me, how did you remember all that stuff? Like, I think so, because so much came to the surface, but I too was in therapy, right? And it's literally like you would. And then somebody asked in the book launch, like in the Zoom space, somebody said, well, one of the questions was like, would you have remembered that if it was not for therapy? Absolutely not, right?
Right.
So
That's
I
what I'm saying. Like,
I'm telling you, but here's the thing: you got to be ready to touch the surface. You have to be in a place like you said you were, where you just like,
yeah.
I don't want to do this no more. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
don't want to live in this pain. Make it about relationships.
Right.
Make it about nobody else. I want to be healed. Just going through the process, and then especially if therapy is available.
Right. Yeah.
You're not taking advantage. I had a psychologist say to us on the show, that is our birthright as Black people. And that's something, the way that I understand that now is this the truth, right? It really is our birthright. Although we weren't necessarily taught that, or we didn't know that, But
Right.
when you think of it in that light, it truly is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, as you say that, when you stated about, with your book is not all about the money, that's what I had to also see, because I was stuck like in this illusion, like a hamster on the wheel. It was like, I see this future big house, and you know what they put out there. And then it was like behind me was the past, and I'm just like, I'm literally trying to like run from my problems or run for the past, because it's like, well, I don't want to be called a product of my environment, but it's like, you don't want to run from it, you want to face it. That's what my therapist taught me, like, you face the past, because you walk through the fire and you gonna come out, on the other side. I don't know the saying all the way, but the what is it, the ashes, something with the phoenix rising or something like that. So it's like, man, like, been through the fire, like the dark, the dark, for real.
I got it. I love the hamster thing. I love that. To me, first of all, you're seeing so much, because that hamster thing is real, and then you running from it. But she said face it. And this is why we're here. This is why we created this space for grace. This is why we are healing people.
Right.
Because literally it's like having the hard conversations, because you really have to face it. And I always use the Jay-Z quote, because you really can't heal what you don't reveal.
Exactly.
So yeah, because that's just like the truth.
And I picked up on this saying for myself, like even going through therapy, it was just like, you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself.
Wow. We just kind
when
of
you lay down at night, you know what's going on inside of you. You just don't know how to fix it or to ask for help,
So beautifully put. We literally, this is a duplication. These words are being repeated over and over, because I'm a house head, but you Teddy P, I'm telling you, he said it himself. You can't run from yourself, and I promise you I'm about to play that song.
Right.
This is it. This is my theme song for tonight. This is the theme song for these rooms. So we're about to have a house party. And I am not kidding. We laughing. They laughing serious. Yeah, that's what's happening. That was in my head, and it's the truth.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah. You can't. It's like, and I also noticed too, and I'm not sure if my cousin is in here. We was talking the other day, Tamika. Like, just hearing her talk, it was like, we are all mirrors of each other. We have all at some point went through the same thing, but different times in our life, probably on different levels. But as she was speaking, I'm just like, it made me feel good, because it was like this, I hid this as a kid, having these moments where I could see vision and, being able to create stuff in my mind. But it's like, you come from the trenches, it's like, go to work, go to school, get a job, we just like, I thank my grandma, I love her, but I think like we taught to survive and not to live.
Yeah.
So we go on the chase and we be on it, and it's just like you never get to that place. Like, I wouldn't call it a desire, because your desires are what sits here in your heart and what you want. It's like trying to get to the top of the hill with everybody else. And I had to realize, like, once you get there, what's the next step? Because you done already made it. So I started looking back at my life as I was going through therapy, and I was like, I remember when I didn't have this and had that, and now I can look back like, it got paid, or it got done. So everything is set for us on our path. Sometimes we might fall off, sometimes we might deviate, or whatever the case may be, but understand, like, it's supposed to happen. As scary as it might seem, or it's supposed to happen, because whatever choice we make is not it's not considered good or bad because whatever the outcome is, it was supposed to happen. It was supposed to happen like it was meant to happen. So I just try to look at the positivity in it now instead of being so upset about it. Like it was like the simplest things. Like if my order didn't come, I'm going crazy at the post office, and it's like, okay, you didn't win off, and you still ain't got the package. Right. So it was like I had to come to my senses.
That's why I love having this conversation with you because I've known you for a long time, and you was like a little angry girl, you know. But I too, honestly, like my older sister could be on the call and saying the same thing because I was a little angry girl, you know. And so, right. but truth be God's truth, like literally, like you just said that. I had a conversation with my cousin the other day, and we're like mirror reflections, and I'm gonna tell you, like, it's literally like it's been like a Me Too movement, this embracing forward thing, because it's almost like you tell some truth about yourself, and it reflects off, and then somebody else say, "Oh yeah, oh me too,
right,
me too. Me
right."
Too. I'm like, this is like,
right,
like you have your own within a movement. It's like a true movement, you know.
Right.
And it's so much that you just said, but you find I literally do that too. I feel like I've always seen the beauty in people, you know, find the beauty in everybody. It's like, what do you do? What they do? What y'all talking about? But it's all in your becoming. And that's what you just did is like every step of the way. Like, you know, it's like every step of the way, it all is supposed to happen, you know, and when you literally take time to sit back and reflect, on you within yourself, right? You take a time to reflect. That's what therapy does. You take a pause, right?
Right.
And doing a self-reflection, and you going within yourself and digging it up, and it all kind of makes sense. It's almost like, aha, you know, it's the aha.
Right.
Yeah, but this kind of all makes sense because if it was not for this, then you couldn't be this and this and it. But then you see everything that was built in that, everything that was that was built in your becoming, everything that's a part of who you are now, and how it can be shifted and used in different ways now in your life. You know, it was parts of me I was so ashamed of. I'm gonna use an example. Like I was in a gang, you know, as a teenage girl, and so I was like, when I got into a certain group of people as a young adult, I never talked about that. You know, I never told nobody. I never even. It was like, under the rug. You know, I'm around, you know, different type of people now.
Right. Because I didn't know until I read the
studio, you know, working. And so I'm just like, yeah, we don't talk about that. You know, I got these clients from different places. And so we don't talk about that. But and the truth is, as I reflected back in hindsight to see who I was in that person, like the strength and the resilience and the passion that I was as Toy G, it's still all that. I'm still all that. You know, it's all in your becoming. And it just began to make sense and say it wasn't about how you used it. It's about the development of it. And it's about the purpose and your alignment in it, and you know, of getting to the core of that's
right.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm kind of still a gangster. So but that's why we can have bold conversations, you know, because you know, we can't be punks. We're not gonna be punks and out here having bold. I'm just saying, you know.
Right. But you know, like
out here.
You know, like even before I got on the Zoom, you know, I was giving myself a pep talk, like, you know, be calm, you know, and then it just took me back, you know, to when I reached out to Joy about, man, I had a dream about my brother, and then you know the story. It's just like, man, Torn set this up for a reason, you know, like. I'm sitting there like, okay, what he want, and I wasn't even like all the way, you know, aware like you was doing the book and you know certain things till you start telling me later. And I think that came like after the dream I had, and I was like, this was supposed to happen. Like this was supposed to happen. So it's like I'm leaning more on my faith and my intuition versus here, because this can trip you up sometimes. So
wow. That's and it's such a powerful place to come from, Tamir. I mean, seriously, because I don't have a title. Again, I don't have a title for a religion. I do love God. I love Jesus. And I believe in so many things, that I
Right.
really can't call it anything because I believe in what most people believe in because the people are empowered in their beliefs and they're
Mhm.
lying in their beliefs
Right.
and honor their beliefs is the truth. Their beliefs are real, right? And
Right.
I've seen it unfold in so many different so many areas, like so many areas in life that I can't believe that there is a one way, I believe that I just respect and love everybody individually, everybody way. And it makes us human,
Right.
is a
That's how
real
I am.
living God. And I just feel like I just love him. And I just think it's just so amazing. It's,
Right.
whatever you call them. But but I can honestly say, and I'm going to say this, that I have never connected with anything like some, another belief like this, numerology.
Numerology.
Because I'm telling you, the way that everything you send me, any little thing, it aligns with like who I am and me. I'm like, who calls me out like this? It's big God. And it just
Right.
amazes me. It's almost like now that's a mirror reflection of me. Like
Yeah.
seriously, talking about a mirror reflection. So I'm intrigued. I'd be like, what? And you know how like even if I wanted to be like, that's not true. Like, first of
Right.
all, I have no judgment in it. But if I did, I couldn't find it.
Right.
I
Right.
couldn't find it because it's so powerful. It really is. And I
I'm
love
glad
like
that
what
you
is
like it.
how it's transforming you, how it's form you. But talk a little bit about how you because I don't even know actually how you started um
Um,
following
with
with just
numerology.
hmm
Well, I
she's a
can
numbers girl. So go ahead.
numerology, is the universal language of numbers. Like if you really start to like look around, everything is like got numbers, our birthday, our license plates, so numbers carry energy because you have a level 1, a level 2, so it carries energy, and our energy can range from like, from a 1 up to a 9, you know what I'm saying? And how I came about numerology, oh, it's so crazy because even doing therapy and I was getting this help, um, you still go through these moments where you falling back into some of your old patterns. So you still trying to find yourself and trust yourself. So even therapy was helping, but I was still like, who am I? What am I here for? Like, what is my mission? What's my purpose? And I started off by Googling my name, like the meaning and stuff like that. Tamara is palm trees. So I was like, palm trees, but then after I got to like really looking at the picture, the art of it, it's like they tall, they stand out. And it's like, I kind of, I resonate with this. Like, this is me. But again, my light had been dim. So the person, like, my family, I'm goofy. I like to laugh. That's who I am. So I was like, okay. And it was just like one click after another. It led me to numerology. Now, I'm a person that's like very skeptical when it comes to like everything. I don't like to put everything in my mental because I'm already battling like a lot of energy. So adding one more thing, I'm just like, is this even real? But like I said, you can lie to everybody else, but you can't lie to yourself. It was like you said, like it was a mirror, and I was just reading myself, and I was just like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just got deeper and deeper into it. And I like the fact that my therapist was so open with me being able to talk about it. And like you say, everybody, have, their religions and what they like. I'm not against that. And I can kind of like relate to you. Like, I'm just an open person. I believe, like you said, there are many ways. You got left, you got right, you got good, you got like, I just never wanted to settle to just be on one side. It's like, you don't have to be angry. You can be happy. Like just, like that. So it was just like the more I read about numerology, I read about myself, and numerology, it goes so deep, so deep. And I was a little afraid to go too deep because again, I don't want to, put too much on myself. But my spirit guides are guiding me. They've been guiding me because they tell me when to rest. When I didn't have too much numerology, It's like, go lay down. You know, something will be hurting, my knee, my back, and it's like, all right, go sit down. But I'm just one of them people, I like to take it all in. Mind you, I've been on a fast pace all my life. So therapy slowed me down. You know, numerology, it slowed me down. You get what I'm saying? Like, absolutely. I've been on that wheel so long that it's like, we need something to take your attention. Numerology came, want to be interested in playing the drums. I learned how to draw. I'm not like A1, but you know,
yeah,
it took my interest away from, I'm not gonna make it here. Oh, this bill not gonna get paid. You know, now it's like, I got something else to focus on now. And like I said, it go deep. It go deep with the letters and your name and everything.
But so interestingly enough is that, like, okay, now this is what's great about neurologists, because you just said, and just with your gut instinct, you know, we call it our gut, God, our intuition, all of that. That is literally like, and I know, you know, most of us have heard it this way, like our GPS system within, you know,
right?
Our inner GPS system. And it's like when you literally learn to follow that, it's literally like, and trust the path of that. Like, it's so much bigger than us, right?
Right.
And literally, that is what it is in that space right there.
Right.
Whatever you call it, you know, however you follow it, how you choose to follow it, that's where the empowerment is. And because that's the path of your enlightenment, like the path of your purpose, really.
Right. Right.
Like, that's the path of your purpose.
Right.
And it's been so many times, you know, we've done things like against our own will, like against within ourselves. You're like, because there's literally like you going against yourself, you're going against your inner God.
Right.
And you learn from that. You're like, not to do that. Like, I don't do that.
Right.
But it's so interesting how that was created in us to guide us. You know, so interesting to really understand that. And you know, I've heard many stories where people say like, I had that feeling. I felt it. You know, I knew not to go that way, or I knew not to do that.
Right.
I know that that's in all of us, you know, and for you to align with it and be on path with it, it's almost like that is literally the will of God for us, like, you know, for that path. And more understanding, because I as well, we talked about, did the same thing. I did the research. I wanted to know, you know, where my family is actually from, where, you know, just everything about me, you know, everything about myself as well, because it kind of all just comes together and makes sense. You know, it's like, oh, okay, these are my people, you know.
Right.
And it just connects you greater to yourself. And then I feel like I'm connected greater with humanity, you know, with everybody, with all, you know, people of all sorts, our religions, you know, from different, anywhere in life, in the world, you know. It's just like literally brings greater connections, like in a way that I've always felt connected, that I feel the more I connected with me, I've connected with so many others.
Right.
And it's literally like, it's synergy between me and the world, you know?
Right.
I'm telling you, this is amazing. I'm like, what? We sisters. Right. And my sister got this thing she say every time, and I'd be like, I just met oh my God, I met a sister today. She like, I'm a new sister. She's like, you got another sister. Like, well, these people are not your sisters, but but it feels so strong. You know, it really does feel so strong. It is not even like we laugh about it, but I'll be thinking like, oh my God, this is really my sister. This is why it's in development, because this thing is important that this is developed, because if you were a kid, you'd be off in La La Land, you know.
Right.
You had all this becoming and didn't have to take the steps to become.
Man.
No, you'll be a kid somewhere in La La Land. But I was thinking earlier about, in this day of you know, artificial intelligence, where it's just getting stronger, and the communication gap has gotten weaker, you know, because, or the connections, you know, because of what happened, you know, last year, COVID-19 hit. And so I was thinking about this. I felt something, you know, within me about relationships, because this is how it kind of came forth, because after all that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I felt like we've been learning how to connect stronger, you know,
Yeah.
more, because you know we've been creative, and you touched on that creativity within
Mm-hmm.
yourself, because that's another thing too. I know about you, and I've had the
Mm-hmm.
same, some of the same experience about tapping into our creative beings, and that was a part of writing as well. A part of me doing so many things. Like I didn't even know I feel like I can make anything, to be honest. I was like, what is it? I can do it. And I had no, but you had no idea. And the more you connected with yourself, right? The more like you
Yes.
being
Yes.
following music and drawing, you know, things that you never, did you ever draw? Honestly, have you ever
No,
drawn?
you know what? I never knew how to draw, but I always wanted to learn how to draw because I had a cousin on my dad's side, and man, she could just draw like she was, and I saw her just put her in her zone, you know, when she draw. And I like to be like that. Sometimes I like to be goofy, and then sometimes, you know, I just need that time. And then my middle brother, Tamil, who passed away, he learned how to he draw like later. You know, he started drawing later. And I think overall, I was like, you know what, we can do anything we want to do. It's like it's up to you. So it was like I would look at these images and see it in my head and draw it in my head. But then I'm like, I get the paper, I'd be like, what's that? But I had to believe in myself to know like you can draw that image. And I sat here, I'm at my desk, my cousin bought me a desk,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't care how long it took me, I was gonna put my focus into it because I'm always just up everywhere with scattered energy. I was just like, and from there, I just got the drawing and drawing and drawing. So
But you
and I
tapped
think it's more
into it.
so focus.
Yeah, you did, but that was something that you tapped into, and that's what I mean about like where we've been, because we've become so creative this year, like like where we are now, how we in the rooms together, you know, we in the room together, but you know, via Zoom. These are things
Mhm.
that are just like um people, we're just in general in humanity tapping to
Right,
more of within ourselves, you know,
right,
for creativity.
right.
And it's things that I've done I would have never ever, even as a young nail tech, when I did draw nails, and
Mm.
I was an artist, I would call myself a nail artist, but I honestly thought that it was in the brushes. I used to be like, oh yeah, well, it's the brushes. So if you could just draw on anything, if you give me a picture, but it's the
Right,
nail brushes, right? You got
right.
brushes you can draw, right? And I was so serious. So I never thought like, oh yeah, you're actually doing art, but but
Right.
it was the brushes, right? Go figure. But but so from that, you know, even like because when we think of gifts, like especially people that can't sing or
Mhm.
don't naturally dance, you know, these things that is like you just think of it like those are gifts.
Right,
You know, those are what gifts are. And
right.
they are gifts. And I admire gifts are so amazing to me. Um and creativity is so amazing because literally when I'm able to look at gifts and creativity is like literally it comes from the creator. I just think
Mhm.
it's so profound.
Yeah, I love it. Being
Hmm.
able to use your imagination and
Hmm.
just creating these different thoughts, positive thoughts. I that's why I always wanted to be like, we all have mood swings. We gonna have our moments. Those are our learning. But I'm more so of a person that like to laugh, have good conversations. Like I don't want to be associated with, stuff that would drain my energy or throw me off balance. Because, like I always tell you, it's all about balance. Like I was explaining to you, like what I have learned through numerology, and I knew this anyway. Like we carry masculine tendencies, we carry feminine tendencies, and it's like sometimes the scale tip too far to this side or too so it's in life it's just all about trying to find that balance.
Hmm.
If it's too much on this side, you feeling this type of way, so it's all about balance for
You
me
know,
now, and
this is
setting boundaries. Make sure you
because
set boundaries.
boundaries,
Yes.
balance, all of this comes together. But this is what I'm curious to know. I just want to know before we in the conversation. um, where are you aligned? What do you see moving forward um, as far as what you're doing with um, in your on your path, like on your new path? Like, what does that look like for you? For
Not too long ago,
hmm
like I say, therapy was over with. I didn't study numerology out. I was like, I'm tired. I'm like, okay, God, okay, I get all this. Like, what's the next step? You know, not so much to tell me, but kind of give me that clarity, that insight, that vision. And it was like towards like the end of 2020. 2020 was like a broken glass, and at the end all the pieces started coming back together, like just over my life it just started coming back, like the puzzle was coming together, and I was just like looking at it, and I was like, you know, God don't punish us, but I had to take you through the dark so you could come out to the light, so you could be able to shine that light to inspire others. Even if you don't necessarily like tell them your story, it's going to be something you're going to do that's going to inspire them. So I would say now, you know, seeing that, it's like for me, create a plan. You know, I want to, you know, get into mentoring, like really focus on the youth. You know, I think like because you don't want the generation to keep going through the same thing from, you know, all the way back. It's like I want to focus more on that. Of course, I want to be creative, like designing like my own clothes, nothing fancy. Because, like you say, for me, it's not about the money. You know, it's the smile and the, you know, the feeling.
but
Because
there's no limits on that creativity, Tamara. You don't know.
oh,
It
I
might
got so
be
many.
50, who knows?
I got so many. I'm always reaching out to my cousin Tamika, like, I got a new idea.
I
And
love
before
it.
I was so scared
Come
to tell people this stuff, like I really hid this because I'm like, they'll be like, it's stupid, but it's mine. So you can call it stupid, but it's mine. And I'm so glad, like going through therapy, and as crazy as 2020 is, it connected, like, you know, me and my family back together. Not that it was in a broken place, but we were just like all scattered trying to, you know, find ourselves. And now, you know, we back to where we at. I constantly like, I got a new idea. I got a new idea. So
Wow.
yeah. Oh, I got some things that I'm cooking up. I'm taking it
No
slow.
doubt you are. I've seen some of your work, but also when you talk about the youth, and I just wanted to bring that energy, the excitement into the room before we close out, because it's a certain energy and excitement that comes with that, with you talking about how you want to give back. And same goes to me. It's like when you seriously, when you have broken, as honestly as we all do, especially if you a black family, like seriously, it's like nowhere
Right.
around that, those traumas. And so when we I know you know that this is written, but seriously, I really believe this is that when you have experienced something, you build up this like innate um responsibility you feel in your
Yeah.
healing of giving it back to others, because you feel it enormously, you know,
Right.
and it's the compassion that you have that is like, it connects me with like, oh my God, I gotta go save those babies. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
and that's another reason why I found a youth group, you know, that are working with youth, and the proceeds of books. The book is going to, you know, the group. But so, because that was so important to me as well, the baby, especially for me, it was the young girls, because I'm like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
and the fact that people are, you know, have organizations and on the south side of Chicago, I'm like, oh, this is it for me, because they are me. They are literally me. This is me. And you know, I have my own group, but I don't know. Maybe if I would have known something about that, maybe, you know, I would have been connected with that type of group, you know.
Right.
So I'm
Right.
just grateful that, you know, they out here doing it, and I'm excited to see you as well,
Thank you. I appreciate that.
embracing the vision forward and your dream forward in that, and what's to come. You know, I'm just excited to see it, and especially with the next generation, because yeah, we embrace it and gracing
Right.
You know, forward in our numbers and age as well, you know.
Right.
And so seriously, so they coming up behind us, and they coming up power. They coming up with more in an informational day. They coming up with I had a nephew that just turned 17. I mean, I'm telling you, all these children are amazing, but all he wanted for his birthday was Amazon gift cards for his books. You know,
Really.
learn about his history. It's just I'm
Yeah.
serious. It's like another
Yeah.
level. They're on another level of life.
And that's all they need is like, you know, something to take their attention off just that one thing, which was like, you know, social media, which I'm not against it, but you know, when we was growing up, it was, you know, you played outside, you did things. And I think in our community it's so broken down, but if we could get like after school programs back, like you know, places where they can go after school and get a shake or something. You know, you don't just have to go in certain neighborhoods for that. They should feel safe going around the corner to the bookstore and hanging out with their friends and not worrying about getting shot. Like, I mean, at some point, it's up to us to kind of like help build the community up. You know, I'm not saying go out there and put everybody on your back, but you know, it starts from somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And again, I want to just thank you.
Thank you.
For the beautiful soul you are. Seriously.
Yes, thank you.
Your support, your empowerment, your
Yes.
love, and giving back to yourself, you know, and doing it for others as well. You know, thank you for doing your work, Tamira.
Thank you, because it's the first time I've, you know, spoken from the like, even though I don't see them, but I know.
No, you speaking of it. Just tell them. No, I'm just.
The first time I spoke, so
And it's
like
not
I
the
had
last time we're gonna see them, so.
Right. Well, I feel more. I don't have the jitters no more. I'm okay now. So I'm like, okay.
Come on, let's go. So we can get beyond those jitters, people, and
Right.
live this purpose and talk, because you're not alone. We're
Right.
not alone. So we all in this together. There's no.
And that's what I like to hear right there. No judgment, just everybody getting along. That's what I like.
Yeah. All right. Well, you have a good evening, and I will see you next time.
Okay. All right.
Good night.
Have a good evening, Sodaya.
Have a good evening. Thank you for joining us, Tamika.
You're welcome. This was beautiful. Thanks for inviting me. Can't wait for the next one.
All right. Thank you, love. Thank you so much.
All right. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Good night.